Good evening, Shabbat Shalom. It is an extraordinary pleasure to be back tonight, and this congregation that I love, with so many people I know and treasure, the people who actually helped Lisa and me figure out how to be rabbi and rebbitzin at the beginning, and to celebrate a wonderful mentor and friend. So 25 years ago, give or take a few months, Rabbi Levine came here from Danbury, Connecticut, where he had served with distinction since 1977, after graduating from the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, which I am required to mention everywhere I go. First, he served as a religious school director and assistant rabbi under the respected Rabbi Jerome Molino of blessed memory. And then he served as his successor as senior rabbi at the United Jewish Center. And we all know that Danbury, Connecticut's 1991 loss was the Upper West Side and all of our gain. When he came to Rodef Sholem, he looked around immediately for the best possible assistant rabbi he could find. But then he decided to hire me. I want to share with you a little bit of the backstory that you probably don't know, which is the first time I really spent any time with Rabbi Robert Levine. Lisa and I came over on a Friday night during placement, one of those calm and tranquil times when you're not really sure what's going to happen with the rest of your life. And it was kind of an ad hoc invitation. We were invited over, we came over, and I remember being up in Rabbi Levine's office and him picking up the phone and calling Gina and say, "Hey, can we have the pankens over for dinner?" That wasn't really maybe 3 minutes before the service began, which meant there wasn't a lot of time to prepare for the dinner. So we got to their house, and there was some, I think, Williams chicken. Has anyone ever had that here? Is that still open? I don't think so. And there were these two things called toddlers who were in the house. One was named Judah, the other was named Ezra. They're a little bit bigger now, I note. And there was more chaos. Lisa and I had never been exposed to children really before, and there was more chaos than I think I had ever seen in any one place. At one point, there was a bathtub overflowing, there were a variety of other things happening, and throughout it all, the dignity and the grace of human beings, namely Gina and Robert, came through and taught us the value of hachnasat orchim, of what it means to welcome, to invite someone in, to help you feel part of their family. And I knew at that point that if, a week later, I got offered the position at Rodef Sholem, I would happily accept, and I did. Working together here with Rabbi Levine and with Cantor Ephraim Biran, we continued to build on the incredibly strong foundation that this congregation has had since 1842. I remember some of the amazing moments that we shared together. We walked from the ancestral home of Rodef Sholem on the Lower East Side to the Barbizon Hotel on 63rd Street, and then all the way to the new location, which had only been here since I think like 1929 or something like that, here on 83rd Street, to celebrate the 150th anniversary. I remember the Rosh Hashanah when Maya was born on Rosh Hashanah. Well done, Maya. And I remember meeting Rabbi David Ellenson, who has since become such a great friend and a wonderful leader in our movement, that Rosh Hashanah as well. And I remember standing at life cycle events with the Levine family and sharing in bar and bat mitzvahs and sharing in times of sadness as well. And that's the kind of friendship and the kind of joy that we really formed many, many years ago, 25 years ago now. But I want to tell you that in the first year together, it wasn't a simple thing, because we had 1,400 household members, 500 kids in the religious school, 500 kids in the day school. For 3 clergy and not an enormous number of other synagogue staff, it was not, shall we say, a low-impact position. But through Rabbi Levine's erudite leadership, his incredible dedication, his unending hard work, and ceaseless commitment, and with his characteristic visionary leadership, this congregation has grown and increased in size, expanded its vision of what Reform Judaism can mean, and has truly become a beacon for what it means to craft innovative Jewish life with integrity, justice, and impact. Now, I could go on all night about Robert's extraordinary achievements as your senior rabbi, but in the time I have, I want to frame his work with what I find to be a beautiful interpretation that relates directly to this week's Torah portion. In Toldot, this week's parashah, the opening words speak of the Toldot, literally the generations, but probably better, the history of Isaac. Isaac, as we all know, was the middle of our three avot, our three forefathers or patriarchs, the son of Abraham and the father of Jacob. There is a Talmudic teaching in Bavli Brachot which sets the stage for what comes next. The teaching says, Tanu Rabbanan, Ein Korin Avot Ela Lishlosha. Our rabbis taught we only use the title of Av, of father or patriarch, for three individuals alone, and that's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The same, by the way, applies to the Imahot. You're only allowed to call Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, according to our tradition, mothers, Imahot. And in fact, this Talmudic dictum has, it seems, serious impact on the language of leadership for the Jewish community. Think about it. We never say, actually, Moses Avinu, or Joshua Avinu, or Akiva Avinu. No, this is earmarked only for three very special individuals, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So, of course, naturally, the Talmud, once making this statement, saying you can only call these three individuals Av, then asks why. Why do we reserve this terminology only for these three? And the answer is that these three were particularly esteemed or important, in Aramaic, chashiveh. Though I'm not usually one to criticize the Talmud, in my opinion, this is a decent answer, but it's not entirely satisfying. Because truly, wasn't Moses pretty important? How about Rabban Gamliel or Rabbi Akiva? How about Maimonides? That not one single Jew in all the successive generations of Jewish life rose to the level of esteem of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is kind of a hard case to make, even for a good Talmud student. So I looked around for some more interpretations of this, and it turns out that in a modern collection called Sefer HaParshiot, Rabbi Eliyahu Kitov offers a compelling answer to this question, which I will paraphrase and translate for you tonight. He says that each one of our patriarchs left behind a particular, unique, and vital inheritance. When Abraham came into the world, he found it to be evil and cruel. In response, he invested himself into acts of chesed, of mercy and kindness, to feed others, to quench their thirst, to provide the downcast with whatever they lacked, to raise up the honor of the modest, and to enlighten their eyes with knowledge of the God of truth. In contrast, when Isaac came into the world, he found it to be filled with mercy and kindness, thanks to what his father Abraham had done. And even though Abraham helped them learn of God, the problem for Isaac was that they still turned their back on God and turned to idols from time to time. The world lacked consistency and commitment. It was not steadfast in its beliefs, and it was bound to veer radically in dangerous directions at any time. Because of the situation that Isaac saw, he invested himself in teaching the world a deeper understanding of abiding by a long-term commitment to God, through modeling what the tradition calls pachad, yirah, and gvura, the awe and strength that human beings must have in all that they do and in all that they face, no matter how challenging the times. When Jacob, the third patriarch, came into the world, he found that there were two ways before him. There was the way of Abraham, bringing kindness and mercy, and on the other hand, the way of Isaac, bringing awe and strength. Which would he choose? Jacob actually had the wisdom not to choose only this way or that way. Instead, he brought together the beautiful tradition of his grandfather Abraham and his father Isaac. He had mercy and kindness when he needed to, and yet, at other times when the world required it, he had awe and strength when that was the important way to respond. On this night, when we honor our beloved rabbi, for obvious reasons, our tradition doesn't allow us actually to give him the title Av, or father. Besides, calling him Father Levine would be somewhat confusing to our Christian brothers and sisters. What we can do instead is learn from the Av in appreciating our Rav. Because the reality is he combines so many of the characteristics we find in our ancestors that qualified them for this revered title. Like Abraham, Rabbi Levine is a font of mercy and kindness in this world, which can at times be filled with evil and cruelty. I have personally witnessed this many, many times. When the tragedy of illness befalls a family, when loss or death strikes, it is Rabbi Levine who stands with them, sharing the dark hours and bringing solace, comfort, and wisdom to help them in their moment of grave need. I recall well after 9/11, when he was a veritable pillar of strength to congregants facing fear and those who suffered with nearly unbearable loss. His kindness shines through in the way he treats everyone here, whether you are 3 years old or 103 years old, whether you are a temple president or a board member or the newest nursery school child, a seeker who's interested in learning about Judaism, or a steadfast student who has studied Torah for years. Whether as an author, a speaker, in his words to B'nai Mitzvah children, in the classroom, under the chuppah, on the bima, at a community meeting, with his rabbinical colleagues or clergy of other faiths, in the hospital, or walking down the street. Where Rabbi Levine goes, kindness follows. You should know that I visit a lot of congregations, and what you have in Rabbi Levine as a man of chesed is a rare and precious gift that has made this congregation the sacred place it is for so many who are with us tonight. But he is not only like Abraham. Like Isaac, Rabbi Levine brings awe and reverence for God, combined with exceptional inner strength. I've watched when people stereotype others, degrading them because of their religion, their gender, their sexuality, their disability, or for any other reason. It is Rabbi Levine's reverence for God, an understanding of what God demands of us, coupled with this inner strength that he has, which has him leading the way in ensuring our society grows the way it should. This has been important in years past, surely, and I suspect it will likely grow in import in the coming years. When this congregation has had to make challenging decisions about its future, when it has looked to build and grow, his strength and understanding of what God demands of us have led the way, resulting in the betterment of this holy place and the betterment of each of our lives. His strength has helped him rise in the leadership of our movement, in the greater community of Jewish leadership, and in partnership with religious leaders of so many faiths. His belief, accompanied by his strength, have made an indelible mark on this world and on the lives of everyone here tonight. But he does not only resemble Abraham or Isaac. Like Jacob, it is his judgment, his innate sense of when the world needs mercy and when it needs strength, that has been among the most important of his characteristics. As a leader, he is a consummate student of the human condition, knowing when a moment of companionship is what one needs, and also knowing when it's time for a bit of a nudge, shall we say, to get you moving. It is this sensitivity that has enabled him to grow and change with the times, and to help grow leaders, students, and Jews by choice in quantity and quality for our community. Like Jacob, he draws upon the best of prior generations, but he never feels limited by their approaches. He uses his wisdom to discern what is best in every new moment and is unafraid to change and grow. So the truth is, there is much more than can be said about Rabbi Levine than any one sermon can really capture. The wonderful husband and father he is to Gina, to Judah, Ezra, and Katie, and Maya. The extraordinary partner he is to the outstanding lay leadership of Rodef Sholem. The mentor he continues to be to the lucky rabbinical, cantorial, and education colleagues who have worked here in the past and who work here now, whose reach now spreads across the country and around the world to lead, teach, and inspire thousands of Jews every day. And I cannot capture in words tonight the great friend he is to so many of us. I would conclude with only one more insight. In the interpretation of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Kitov suggests that whenever we see someone doing something compassionate, we can say that her ancestor was Abraham. Whenever we see someone doing something with strength and awe, we can say that his ancestor was Isaac. And whenever we see someone doing right in balancing an inherited tradition with one's own thoughtful judgments, we can say that her or his ancestor was Jacob. Like ripples in a lake caused by the falling of a stone, though the waves started so many generations ago, they continue to propagate and affect the generations that follow, and we can look back and see their source. Rabbi Levine, on this beautiful night when we honor your extraordinary service over 25 years to Rodef Sholem, know that when you see someone acting with compassion, we can say that you are their rabbi. When we see someone acting with strength and awe of God, we can say that you are their rabbi. And when we see someone acting with refined judgment and respect for tradition, we can know that you are their rabbi. May God bless you, Gina, your children, all those you love, and all those who love you, with many more years of good health and fulfillment, compassion, awe, strength, and judgment, and the manifold blessings of peace. Together we say, Amen.